Hey everyone, welcome. We're about to tackle one of the absolute cornerstones of JavaScript, objects. If you've ever wondered how to wrangle complex data and keep it neat, well, this is for you. Let's dive right in. Okay, so picture this. In any app, you've got simple bits of data, right? A name, a number, but what happens when you need to group related stuff together? Like for a single user, you've got their name, their age, their login status. How do you keep all that together? Well, that's exactly where objects come into play. They're built to solve this exact problem. All right, here's the roadmap for today. We're going to start with why we even need objects. Then I'll give you a super simple metaphor to wrap your head around them. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of working with their properties, touch on some advanced tricks, and then we'll pull it all together at the end. Sound good? Okay, let's kick things off. So why can't we just use simple variables for everything? You know, the things we call primitives in JavaScript. Turns out they just don't cut it when things start getting even a little bit complex. And this right here shows you exactly what I mean. On the left, you've got these lonely, separate variables. Yeah, we know they belong to the same user, but the code has no clue. Now, look at the right, a single user object. It's like a neat little package, a container that holds all that related info under one single name. So much cleaner, right? Okay, to really make this idea stick, I want you to use a metaphor. Just for today, let's imagine a JavaScript object is basically a data cabinet. So what's inside this cabinet? Well, an object is really just a collection of these key value pairs. The key is like the label you'd write on a file folder. It's just a string that tells you what's inside. And the value, that's the actual data in the folder. And that value can be, well, pretty much anything. A piece of text, a number, a true or false, you name it. So how do you actually make one of these data cabinets? You'll see a couple of ways, but honestly, the one on the left is the one you're going to see 99% of the time. It's called the object literal, and it's just a simple pair of curly braces. Super clean, super concise. This is how you start with an empty object. And here's how you can create an object that's already got some stuff in it. You can see we have our keys, name and age. And for each one, there's a colon, and then the value. And boom, just like that, we've made our data cabinet and already put two files inside. Okay, so we've built our cabinet. Now, how do we actually use it? How do we mess with the files inside? Let's check out how to add, read, and even get rid of properties. This slide walks you through the whole lifecycle. To create a new property, you just use the dot, like user.admin, and assign a value. To read one, same deal, user.name. Updating is just as easy. You just assign a new value. And if you want to completely remove a property, that delete keyword is your friend, gone. All right, here's a little pro tip for you, something that'll seriously make your life easier down the road. See that comma after the last property, after age? That's called a trailing comma. And guess what? It's totally fine. The reason it's so great is that if you want to add another property or just reorder them, you don't have to remember to add or remove a comma. It's a small thing, but trust me, it's a huge help. So that dot notation we just used, it's awesome, it's clean, but it has its limits. What happens when our file labels, our keys, get a little weird? Here's the problem right here. What if you have a property key with a space in it, like likes birds? If you try user.likesBirds, it's just not going to work. JavaScript sees user.likes, and then it just gets totally confused by that word birds. It's a syntax error. So what's the fix? The answer is square bracket notation. So let's break it down. Dot notation is clean, but it's rigid. Square brackets, on the other hand, are super flexible. They'll take any string you throw at them, even one with spaces like likes birds. And here's the real superpower. You can stick a variable inside the brackets. This lets you access a property name dynamically, which is something you just can't do with dots. And this flexibility isn't just for reading properties. You can use it when you're creating an object too. This is called a computed property. When you use square brackets inside the curly braces like this, the key's name isn't literally fruit. No, it's the value stored inside the fruit variable. So since fruit equals apple, our object ends up with a property named apple. This is a really powerful way to build objects on the fly. All right, we're good at working with one property at a time. But what if you need to look at every single file in the cabinet? What if you need to take inventory? Let's see how that's done. For this job, JavaScript has a special tool called the for-in loop. It's built specifically for one purpose, to go through all the keys of an object one by one. The way it works is, for every property in the object, the loop runs once, and that variable, we're calling it key here, will hold the name of the key for that round. Let's trace this out to see what's happening. On the first run of the loop, the key variable is the string name. Then we use our trusty square brackets, user key, to grab the value, which is John. Okay, next round. The key variable is now age, and user key gets us the number 30. And it just keeps going like that until every property has had its turn. But wait a second. This brings up a really important question. When we loop through an object like this, do the properties always show up in the same order we wrote them in? Well, the answer is a little tricky. And this slide shows the big gotcha perfectly. Check out these phone codes. We wrote 49 first in our code, right? But when we loop over it, 1 comes out first, then 41, 44, and finally 49. What's going on? Well, because these keys look like numbers, JavaScript has a special rule. It automatically sorts them in ascending order. Any keys that don't look like integers will show up in the order you created them, but this one little rule can really throw you for a loop if you're not expecting it. So is there a way around this? You bet. The trick is to make sure the key doesn't look like an integer. A super easy way to do this is to just add a plus sign in front, like plus 49. Now, JavaScript doesn't see a number anymore, it just sees a regular old string. And because of that, it respects the order you wrote it in. Problem solved. Whew, okay. We have covered a ton of ground, from the absolute basics all the way to some of those tricky little edge cases. So let's zoom out for a second and wrap this all up. All right, here are the main things to remember. Objects are all about storing related data together as key value pairs. For simple keys, dot notation is your best friend. But when you need flexibility for weird names or dynamic keys, switch to square brackets. Remember, you can delete properties, you can loop over them with for-n, and most importantly, watch out for that automatic sorting when your keys look like numbers. So there you have it. You now have the single most important tool for structuring data in basically any JavaScript app you'll ever build. I mean, think about it. Describing a user, setting up a product, managing the state of a game, it all comes back to objects. The question now is, what are you going to organize with them?